last time we went over the overall contents of the course, and I emphasized the fact that we will talk mostly about active investing approach, but then I wasn't quite sure whether you understood the difference between active investing and passive investing. So let's just check whether you know the difference between active investing and passive investing. So the first one, if someone says, I only buy KOSPI 200, is it active or passive? Okay, anyone? Active, passive, the first one. You can either just say using mic or type if it's easier. Okay, so that's an example of passive investing because there the investor doesn't think about what to buy, doesn't aim to get higher returns than average. If you just buy KOSPI 200, KOSPI 200 includes most of the large stocks in Korea, so that's the example of passive investing. And second, if someone says, I bought some pharmaceutical stocks last month because I believe the company was about to announce a new drug. Is it active or passive? Or okay, how about this? So why don't we look at this all together, and then you can write what you think. Which of these, there are 2, 4, 6, 7 statements. Which of them are for active investing, and which one is for passive investing? Let's say this is number 1. Can I change this? Oh, well, okay, I'll just leave it. So let's say this is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7. And you can think about which of these 7 are active and which are passive, and perhaps you can write down. And I'll give you some time to think about, say, 30 seconds. So perhaps you can write 1 to 3 active, 4, 5, 6, 7 are passive, or things like that. And while you're thinking about it, maybe I'll put just a number. Okay, so there are a number of different answers, and okay, one of them is correct. So I'm waiting to see whether your answers converge to something. Um, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So the Lee Ju-young is the only one who answered correctly. Now again, the idea of, did I say the opposite? Lee Ju-young said passive, yes. So Lee Ju-young's answer is correct. So the idea of passive investing is when you think about what to buy, you don't really choose. You just buy the entire market, or you just buy things proportional to the entire market. So in Korean context, that would be buying Kospi 200 or the bigger Kospi index. So number one is an example of passive investing. And number five is an example of passive investing, because in the end, buying mutual funds that track Kospi 200 is more or less same thing as buying 200 stocks included in Kospi 200. Of course, it's not easy to buy Kospi 200 directly. You either have to buy mutual funds or ETFs. Otherwise, you will have to buy 200 stocks included in Kospi directly, which can be a bit of, will require quite a bit of work. But anyway, so number one and number five are examples of passive investing. Everything else is an example of active investing. So here, the person picked a particular stock because of some belief, hoping that this person or this stock will do better than others. This is what active investors do. Passive investors do not select any stock either by rule or by some other means. Passive investors just buy everything in the market proportional to the weights in the market. And number four again, if your advisor is a passive investor, your advisor wouldn't tell you what to buy. So this is an example of active investing. And also number six is an example of active investing, because this is based on a specific belief that growth stocks will do well in particular time period. This is an example of market timing. This is again an example of active investing. So we will of course go over these ideas further later in the class, but since I talked quite a bit about the idea of active investing last time, I thought perhaps it would help you to give you some examples. And so what we will do in this class is we will focus on those ideas that relate to the active investing. Okay, any further question about this? Anyone? Okay. So if it's still unclear, is this clear to everyone now, or is it still unclear? Okay, so I would take silence as the confirmation of, well, I'll take the silence as, interpret the way I prefer, which means that you probably understood what it is. If you make a basket, now here, this is a basket of 200 stocks. This is a basket of, again, approximately 200 stocks. This is a single stock. This is probably a single stock. This can be one, two, many stocks. This can be also many stocks. So it doesn't really matter how many stocks you are buying. So that's not the criteria between passive and active. Well, to be passive investor, you need to buy everything, so you cannot buy one stock. So definitely, if you buy only one stock, that's an example of active investing. For passive investing, you have to buy everything in the market. But active investing can be also in the form of a number of stocks. So, for example, if you buy a growth fund, which may include 50 stocks, so even though there are a number of stocks, it is still active investing. So we don't count how many stocks you own. We ask whether you are buying the market or not. So if you are not buying the market, then it is active. If you are buying the market exactly with the exactly same proportion, then that is a passive investing.